everyone. Well, we're in the middle of another big Ontario storm. Up to 40 centimeters of snow expected today. I think we've got about 15 centimeters on the ground. So I'm just out for a little hike this morning, and I want to talk to you guys today about my winter boots that have gotten me through some of the coldest nights and on my hiking camping trip. So let's talk about my boot system, and because there's more than just one aspect to my winter boots that I want to chat with you about today. All right, let's head inside. I'm getting ready for a big backcountry trip coming up. Supposed to be some more bad weather, so I'll show you what I'm packing, and we'll talk about my boots. Well, and speaking of winter camping, just quickly before we go inside, don't forget to check out my Algonquin Park camping series. I did 2 videos on my 4-day, 3-night trip into Algonquin Park in weather very much like this. So go check it out if you haven't already. There's a fair bit on the ground now. Ooh. This looks like the abominable snowman. It's breaking trail on the way back. Well, we're back out of that nasty storm and getting ready to head out in the backcountry in another storm. So this is the start of that packing. It's a 3-person backcountry trip. So I've got my tent, my canvas tent that I made. I have the wood stove, and you can see above it, there's something new that you guys will get to check out in the video on the backcountry adventure. This is a guard for the wood stove. So I tried on this previous trip using some fiberglass wrap on the stovepipe. That did not work. I had a lot of really foul smelling smoke coming off of the preservative on the fiberglass wrap, so we're not using that. So this is just like a fire screen. So I'm going to see if that works. Got off Amazon. It's very lightweight. Goes up pretty tall, so the dog can't lean against the stove and catch on fire, and people don't touch the stove because it'll be pretty close quarters with 3 people in this tent. Got my click mats. This is a second sled here, basically full of like sleeping gear, like sleeping bags, pads, that kind of thing, as well as in here we've got the gear bag, first aid kit, and some water. Still have to load up the food in there and a few other odds and sods. I also will be taking my Osprey day pack bag. This has my clothes in it, some dog food, stuff like that. Dog boots. I've got this, the vest I'll be wearing. And I've got my ski poles to give me some traction, and of course my snowshoes. And this is the start of the food pack. So got a few things to go here, but got some snacks in here. I'm gonna be doing some dehydrated food. Look at that. Ooh, let's take a look. Anything more Canadian than maple flavored Spam. I'm gonna try this out. I saw this and I couldn't believe it. So you can make breakfast burritos, whatever you want to do. So I'm gonna try it out. So what am I going to be wearing on this camping trip on my feet, and what have I worn all winter? Well, that's a really good question. Up here in Canada, we can get some pretty cold temperatures, especially at night, sometimes down to the -20s, -30, -40s, and beyond in some areas. So where I am at this year, we're kind of in the -25 zone, sort of at night and very early morning. Last year, I was wearing these sort of Eddie Bauer shoes. They had thin slit lining, the Vibram soles, so they're kind of good for hiking. And they had the fleece, well, fake fleece or whatever on them. And I found them to be okay for hiking and whatnot, but still pretty cold. And they're getting worn out, so I thought just time to change gears, as I was really getting too cold in the early mornings and late nights. So one day I was popping into Canadian Tire, and I was looking around, and I usually get like baffin boots and things like that, which I've had before. Some of the ones that they claim that they're -30 boots I have up at the cabin, and they have really thick soles. And they also have sort of a thick liner. But I wanted something a little bit lighter but could do the job. So I'm looking around in the shelves and I see this boot right here. You see that? That's the tree torn. I thought, well, this is weird. This isn't something I've ever seen at a Canadian Tire store before. And I'm not sponsored for this, just so you guys know. But I had never seen something like this. So I thought, oh, let's just try these on. And I thought, wow, these fit really well. This is in the men's section. So I basically want to buy a size or so larger than I'm used to, just because I'll show you in a moment what I do to kind of really keep warm in boots like this. So these actually are boots that have a thin slit lining. So they are lined. And what you can see here is they go all the way up my calf, which is nice. That's really important for keeping warm in the winter, is a boot that kind of goes up your leg to retain some of that warmth. And as you can see here, they have a really, they have a thick sole to keep you up off the cold ground. So these are awesome. They have the neoprene on the tops. They're pretty flexible, and they have the rubber foot and sort of lower ankle in front of the shin there. Really important. I wanted something waterproof. I wasn't happy with the way my Eddie Bauers were. I mean, if it was really snowy wet, it would soak through. These boots, what I found this winter is they do not get me soaking wet in those socks. You don't have to wear those bread bags. They're there to keep your feet warm. So if you're Canadian, you know what that means. So what else do I do to keep warm in these boots? So, I mean, you can, depending on the temperatures, I mean, if it's down to like -10, -15, I pretty much wear these as is. But as it gets colder, I do have a little bit of a system that I kind of put in there. So let me show you. So what I start with is a boot liner. The boots come with one, obviously, which is quite comfortable, actually. I think it's not memory foam or something, but when it pulls out the insert, it is pretty soft and spongy. But what I like to do is I like to layer it. This is alpaca wool. So I'll put this either on its own or as another layer right there. It's just so it's like super cozy and warm on my toes. And, you know, natural fibers are breathable. And even if they're wet, they keep you warm. So I'll preach day in, day out to always, where you can, get natural fibers kind of against your skin. So this is alpaca wool. You could use like regular like sheep felt liners and stuff like that. So I layer it like that. So this is like inside the boot. And then the next thing that I wear that's inside the boot is actually a boot liner in addition to what is here. And it's one that I made myself. So these are wool duffel liners. So I bought the duffel from Bill Warb Furs out in Manitoba, I believe. And so I made the pattern. Oops. I made the pattern. You can kind of see where I traced the little blue marker or whatever to fit. Actually, these fit in my my mucklucks. So I pulled them out of the mucklucks to see if this would be something I could use in these boots. And absolutely I can. Look at fits perfectly. So this basically goes inside the boot. My foot is kind of enveloped in this little system right here. So that is super cozy. And this is what I'd be doing, you know, if we're looking at -20 and below in a rubber boot like this. The other thing I like to do is I wear like a natural fiber sock. So these are, I think, 90+% alpaca. I think it's a little bit of spandex in there. I forget 100%, but this is like an alpaca sock. You can use wool socks. I have lots of wool socks. Again, they breathe and they tend to stay not as stinky as regular cotton socks. You know, on the trail, and they stay really warm even if they're wet. So that's kind of like the layering that I use, as I use the sock inside my duffel liner and then I'm sitting on top of that. So it is extremely toasty warm when you layer a boot like this. Even though it does have some thin slip, this adds an extra a bit of warmth for you there. And the bonus is too, when you're done hiking or on the trail or poking around land, whatever, you can kind of take all this out and just hang it to dry over the wood stove or whatnot. Same with this. So that is really what I like. You can also get those booties, you know, if you're out in construction all day or whatnot. I know I've had a pair and I can't find them for the life of me for this video. They just look like little, they've got like a little elastic on top, and they're little boots that go over just kind of your foot part that you would wear in a boot like this if you're out all day. And they are quite warm as well. And for the life of me, I cannot find them right now. So that is something that you could do as well. You know, if you didn't want the heat all the way up your leg, something like this. By far the warmest winter boots as you wear that I have are my mucklucks that I made. So this is kind of the main shell of it right there. It's a little floppy because this goes inside. So again, I make these a little bit bigger than my feet. I made these many, many years ago, and they're still hanging in there. Make them bigger than my feet, and then you can just sort of layer it. And even if you need to wear like 2 pairs of wool socks or something, you can do that with this. And then this goes obviously inside your muckluck. So these are extremely warm. Probably the warmest shoe boot that I have for you know, outdoor conditions. The only downside to them would be if it's really, really very wet outside. Like if it's really a wet, heavy, slushy snow, these really, unfortunately, they get soaked through. They can dry out for sure. But I don't, you know, it's really good to have these maybe -15 and below. Then I find they're really, really effective. Otherwise, you're going to have to put on something like this, which is like an over boot. So this is something that I use when I do snowshoeing and stuff with my mucklucks, especially if the snow's a little bit wet. I don't want to get my foot soaking wet. So basically you kind of wear your mucklucks, your whole foot system, whatever you got figured out there, and then you pop these all on. and then they cinch kind of just above the ankle there, and then you got a buckle that kind of goes over to. So then these are fully like waterproofing the lower part of your muckluck. You can also get kind of like a little rubber gripper that kind of goes on just for the lower part if you want. That's another option as well if you really don't want to envelop your entire like lower part of the muckluck with you know, waterproof barrier. So that's it. That's my secret for keeping my feet warm on all my camping trips and just hanging out and about in the wintertime. So let me know what you guys do below for your boots and how you get around this winter to keep warm. All right, stay safe on the trails. We'll see you in the next video, and stay tuned. I got some great backcountry adventure video coming up for you guys very soon. Bye for now.